A lot of red pill rage MGTOW say we should do nothing, try nothing, just spend all of our time playing games or whatever because all the ills ever to befall men can be blamed on women, and women will never change. Maybe they're right. Maybe women never will change. Maybe they can't. But can we? Can men change? Feminists say we must. I call cow shit. Male dominance is the flip side to female hypergamy. Gynocentrism is a biological imperative, and patriarchy is its ultimate expression. To change that, we would have to change the species. And we might, but many things will have to be taken into account before we attempt that. We don't want to go the way of the bonobos, which, as Turd Flinging Monkey has explained a few times, is what became of chimpanzees who needed neither to struggle nor to work to survive. They devolved. The devolution of man was part of the backstory to Frank Herbert's Dune series. They became dependent on intelligent machines, which then enslaved them. We evolve and progress through struggle. In Babylon 5, which was J. Michael Straczynski's very loose adaptation of E. E. Doc Smith's Great Lensman series, two ancient races, the Vorlons and the Shadows, manipulate the other races of the galaxy with their competing philosophies, but both have, or had, the same ultimate goal, evolution. One represented order, the other chaos. Order and chaos also play a central role in L. E. Modesitt Jr.'s Recluse series. The underlying theme is that existence of life depends on a balance between the two. Too much order, and we devolve into bonobos. Too much chaos, and we cannot rise above the savagery. Order and chaos, yin and yang, dominance and hypergamy, patriarchy is the ultimate expression of gynocentrism and the vehicle by which to achieve a balance between hypergamy and dominance. And we probably don't want to breed that out of the species. At least not without having a clear understanding of how we can continue to evolve without it. So that leaves us with the challenge I posed in an earlier video to become a shockwave writer. As shockwave writers, we are the whirlwind that feminists fear. In her Sons of Feminism video, linked below, Janice Fiamengo spoke to the grievous harm feminism has caused, and she invited men to share their stories for a book on the subject. Among the many things that were obvious to the cadre of equalitarians who opposed the feminist hate-mongers in the 1990s was that many of the children of feminists would grow up to despise what it had done to them. We called ourselves the Gang of Six. Our number included at least one certified genius, and the problem was that we were all many years ahead of our time. But so are you, my MGTOW brethren, so are you. Many of you are the sons of feminism, and you are the bitter harvest of which Professor Fiamengo speaks. But it goes much deeper than that. America has become a socialist nation. America's descent into socialism began when my father was a child, if not before he was even born. Contrary to what Black Pigeon Speaks indicated in his Economic Vampirism video, linked below, this did not begin with the baby boomers. The Social Security Ponzi scheme was created when Franklin D. Roosevelt signed it into law in 1935. My father was just a child back then. When I pointed this out in a comment on his video, another commenter said, yes, but boomers didn't vote against it. Well, in 1935, the boomers were not even born yet. The Medicare and Medicaid entitlement programs were created when Lyndon B. Johnson signed them into law in 1965. I was in grade school, and the oldest of the boomers were being drafted to fight and die in Vietnam. They were old enough to fight and die and be drafted, but not old enough to vote. The Vietnam War was by then just the latest in a long string of unnecessary wars spanning the 20th century and continuing to this day that the political elite have dragged us into. Pat Buchanan's book, Churchill, Hitler, and the Unnecessary War, is available in audio format. You can check it out for free with your public library card on Hoopla. If you listen to it or read it, you'll come away with a view of our history that is very different from the official narrative. It made me very angry. The parents of the baby boomers were duped. Their parents were duped. My generation was duped, as are the Gen Xers and Millennials. We have all been duped. Donald Trump talks like he gets it. He sounds like he knows that we have all been duped and he wants to do something about it. I hope he's sincere, and I'm willing to take a chance on him. But I can tell you this, if he betrays us the way Obama betrayed the liberal left, rage will run rampant in the streets. He says he can prevent a national, if not a global, economic collapse. The president alone cannot do that. The president and Congress working together could, especially if they started by eliminating all federal taxes. See my Could Donald Trump Eliminate All Federal Taxes video linked below. I doubt Congress will cooperate with him to save the economy, and then he'll get the blame when, after more than 80 years of increasingly socialist policies, our economy breaks down on his watch. As Turd Flinging Monkey observed during his recent podcast, Democratic administrations spend us into oblivion, and then Republican administrations clean up the mess and pay the bill. So in the popular mind, Republicans always get the blame for the recessions. He's right, and this alone should be enough to tell the American people there's something very wrong with the two-party system. But there's more to the story. The officially announced recessions are all based on official numbers. By objective measures, however, what Doug Casey calls the Greater Depression began in 2007. A depression is different from a recession in that it can have both recoveries and recessions, but it's a prolonged period of substandard economic performance. That has been the case since 2007. Where are the breadlines of the Great Depression? Breadlines have been replaced by food stamps and EBT cards. Poor farms have been replaced by welfare and Medicaid. As in the state of Washington where I live, 1 in 5 residents are now on welfare. See multiple links in the low bar for more bad news. America has become a socialist nation not to benefit the common people, but to give power and fortune to the wealthy elites. They sowed the wind, expecting to control it. They sowed the wind, expecting to control us. But when the infrastructure begins to break down, as it did in Greece, they shall reap the whirlwind.